Hi, my name is Chase, and I'm on the hockey couch today. The coolest place ever for everything hockey. Let's head inside and talk to the extras. Let's go.
There's Brandon. How's it going, buddy?
What's the difference between CCM, Bauer, and Warriors?
Yeah, you know what? There's going to be some big similarities. There's going to be some big differences. At the end of the day, it's a really big preference component of what you like the feel of, because each stick is going to have different flex patterns. They're going to have different heights. They're going to have different shaft corners and sizes. So at the end of the day, we need to try a bunch of different sticks and really see what feels the most comfortable in your hands, okay?
What pulls that one looking for sticks?
Yeah, so I usually have a few questions that I like to ask. Honestly, when I start asking people about sticks, I usually ask what kind of shooter and what kind of player you are. So what position do you play?
Center and right wing?
Center and right wing? Okay, so you're a forward. Now, when you think about shooting, if you're a player, do you like making lots of shots close to the net? Or do you like making lots of passes? Or are you looking for something that's going to do everything for you on the ice?
Like
Passing? Okay. So if we start with passing and maybe you're more of a playmaker, there's a couple different sticks that usually come to mind for me. So if we look at Bauer, Bauer has two families. There's a Nexus family and a Vapor family. When they break down those two families, Vapors are considered a low kick point, and low kick points mean we like to do a lot of quick little snappy wrist shots and snapshots. So that lower portion of the stick is soft, and it gives us really quick little releases, okay? So you can shoot and pass with them great, but they're primarily a shooting kind of stick, okay? If we look at the Nexus, I usually like to use the term a Swiss Army stick. So that's called the mid kick point, and I got some Nexuses right here. These ones flex in the middle portion of the stick, and that's their sweet spot. So what that does, it gives us a very consistent feel when we're trying to pass, when we're trying to shoot. It works kind of well on every area of hockey for us, okay?
What's the difference between the spikes?
Yeah, so when we look at the flex, you're going to see a bunch of different numbers. So say, for example, we have a 20, a 30, a 40, a 50, and so on. What these all mean is how much pounds of force you need to put into the stick in order to flex it. So for you, if you say weighed only 50 pounds, and I put you in a 50 flex stick, you have to put your entire body weight into that stick in order for it to even move just a tiny little bit, okay? So it'll probably be a little bit stiff for you. So the kind of old school rule of thumb is you can use about half the body weight and start there, but I'm almost 200 pounds and I can't flex 100 to save my life. So most commonly what we see now is people are going a little bit softer because that gives us a little bit more whip and a little bit more pop in our shots. So for example, when I play, given I'm almost 200 pounds, I cut my body weight in half and then drop about 10 to 15 from there. So I'm anywhere around a 75 to an 80 flex of what I use. And that gives me a really good sweet spot where I can load into the stick easy and shoot when I'm in tight, but it's not too whippy if I'm trying to make quick passes and strong passes, okay?
How does the flex?
How does the flex help? That's actually a really great question. So if you flex into the stick and it's too stiff, we have no pop, okay? The puck's not gonna come off the stick very easy. But if you can really lean into it, and you can see if I can really flex my weight and the stick bends, when that puck goes to release, it comes off way quicker for us, okay? It makes it easier to shoot. But on the flip side, if it's way too soft, and say I used a 60 or 65, it's gonna feel like a noodle or a rubber band in my hands. I won't be able to pass very easy, I won't receive passes, and I won't get a whole lot of power out of my shot, okay? There's also personal preference that comes in. If we look at Ovechkin, I think he's using something pretty stiff, but he's also a really big guy. When we look at guys like Connor Bedard now, he's using something a little bit softer because that's what he personally likes to use. He doesn't need something super, super stiff, okay?
What is all these full 90 steroids?
Yeah, I know. That can look a little bit confusing when you see all these different codes and names and everything on there. So what these all mean is what kind of curve we have. So for example, I'll grab 3 of the major curves that we're going to see in and around the hockey market here, okay? Now, when we look at all these, if you come stand over here, if you look at all these from different angles, what we're going to see at the curves, you're going to see them hook and turn in different ways, right? So say, for example, if we look at the one in the middle, this is called the P28. So when we look at these 3 curves, say, for example, the P28, you see at the end how much it hooks in the toe. See how much more of a curve that is? What that's usually great for is players that do lots of stick handling, like to do toe drags and pull the puck up off the board. So when it's closed over like that, they get a lot of puck control. It's also great if we sit close to the net, we can help elevate the puck super easy, right? So think about McDavid. See how he elevates the puck super, super easy when he's close to the net? Having a curve like this, the P28 is the McDavid curve. It's going to give us a lot of that puck control and that easy time lifting the puck, okay? When we look at the one that's the P88 in the middle here, you see how it's very minimal? It doesn't really curve a whole lot. This is a very old school curve, and a lot of people like it for passing and shooting. It's very consistent. It doesn't flutter off the stick very much. It's a kind of it's a very well-rounded curve, I'd say. Now, if you're newer to hockey, sometimes it can be a little bit hard to shoot and pass with it because we really have to open the face in order to bring that puck up off the ice, okay? Now, the last one that we usually see. Yeah, so this one, the P92, remember I called the Nexus a Swiss Army stick? This is almost a Swiss Army curve. So it works a little bit everywhere because it doesn't hook as much as the P28, but it's not as flat as what we get in the P88. It's kind of right in the middle. So I usually recommend for players who are kind of newer to hockey, or maybe you want something that works well for stick handling and shooting, that P92 or P29 is honestly a really great curve for everyone. But hockey's a very big game of preference. You really have to find what works the best for you. A P28 is not going to work for everyone. P29 is not going to work for everyone, and P88 is not going to work for everyone. We have to find what works the best for each person, okay?
Why does that height?
Yeah, the height does matter a little bit. So if we really want to get into the details of it, say, for example, if you tried using this, your poke checks are going to be great, but how are you going to get over top and stick handle? It's not going to be very easy to do, right? So when we size for sticks, usually what we recommend is for people who want really good control of stick handling, we kind of want to sit between the chin and the top of the lip. And that's usually when we're on our skates, okay? So say, for example, I give you a 20. Go on your tippy toes for me. We're kind of sitting right around where the lips. So if you look straight on, it kind of sits right around your lips. Now, what this is great for, if you hold on to the stick, are you lefty or righty? Okay, we'll hold that right-handed for now. If you go into your hockey stance and the stick's a little bit on the shoulder side, we can get over top and get in tight and stick handle super easy, okay? If the stick's a little longer, so say, for example, I grab you a 30 and we need to chop this down a tiny little bit. Here, we can come over here, buddy. If we need to come over here. If we need to chop this down a tiny little bit, we can give you a little bit of a longer stick. That's going to be a little bit better for poke checks and a little bit better if we're shooting with our hands in front of us a lot like this, okay? But the flip side, if the stick's way too long and you try to pull in tight, what happens is your elbow gets extended too much and it's hard to pull the puck in and shoot, okay? So that's why we need to find a little bit of a sweet spot, and that's usually why I recommend about the lips for most players, okay? Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Are more expensive sticks better?
You know what? Not always. So we need to find out what better means, because better for each person is going to be different depending on who you are as a player. So if we're looking for the most performance, the most pop, the best feel overall, usually we are going to find that in those higher end price points because all the carbon fiber and the composite that they use are very thin and they're really light. So when they get weaved together, when we go to shoot, everything feels super smooth and feels like there's a lot of pop going on, right? But with higher end sticks, a lot of the times we're getting a lot of great performance, but we don't get necessarily the exact same durability out of it, okay? Because we're paying for how they shoot, not for how they last sometimes. So when we look at some of the entry price points, our first price points, all those carbon fiber layers that are weaved together are actually a little thicker and stronger. So maybe we don't get the same really snappy, quick pop that we're looking for, but we get a lot more durability out of it, okay? So usually what I recommend, if we kind of sit in the middle category for stick price point, or maybe middle high end, we're getting a great blend between performance and durability out of it. When you grow up, you're gonna start breaking sticks a lot more, okay? When you think about winning a face-off, your job is to beat that other stick out of the way, right? Well, the other guy's got to do the same thing to you. So if we're constantly hacking and whacking away on the sticks, what happens is all those fibers kind of loosen up a little bit, okay? And then all of a sudden you go to shoot, stick breaks on you. Why are you breaking so many sticks? Well, think how many battles we take, right? Hockey's not a very light sport, especially if our coaches are making us battle hard. And also, one last thing that a lot of people don't know about, do you use the same stick in a practice and a game? Think how many shots and battles you do in practice. A couple hundred? How many shots you take in a game? Maybe 5 if you're lucky, maybe a couple more, depending on what position you play. So all that wear and tear that you're putting on the stick in practice now has a little bit more wear and tear when you're going to use it in a game. So rotating sticks is always a good little hack and a good little secret that people don't know about. So that helps you save more lifetime out of your stick. So that's typically what I recommend.
Can you pick 3 sticks for me to check out in the link?
Absolutely, I can. This is one of my favorite sticks in the store, the Project X. I'm going to have you try this one out from Truro, okay? All right, let's come to a Warrior. I'm actually a really big fan of Warriors. Okay, so the QR6 Pros. This is one of my favorites in the store. So both these sticks, remember the low kick point and the mid kick point that I was talking about?
What?
These are both low kick points that we're going to try out, okay? So these are It does have a lot of grip. And so that's kind of the difference between all the brands. Each one's going to feel a little different in the hand. So let's go take a look. One more. I'm going to grab a CCM stick for you, okay? Can you take a guess at how many sticks are in the store?
And
Take a guess. 500? Okay, add a couple more zero, or add another zero, and then do another 2 or 3 of those. Yeah, between 10 and 15,000 sticks we've had at one point. Yeah, it's a lot of sticks.
what the?
Okay, let's see. Okay, going around with the jet speeds for you. Now, the only tricky part is the jet speeds are really cool, but they only come in, they're in 30 flexes though. I think that might be a little bit big for you. You want to try it out anyways? But yeah, go try them out. Let's get them taped up. Have some fun in there.
That was awesome.